If you're in the process of opening your shop and you've been struggling, this video is gonna have a lot of value because look, I got my notes here, but so this is gonna be 10 reasons why auto body shops fail, and maybe some of these might identify with you and it might be an eye opener. But let's get right into it, right? So number one is gonna be is there really a demand for the services you're trying to provide, right? And a lot of times people like that have let's say they want to do restoration work, right? But there's not a demand for that, right? If they want to, is there a demand in your area for what you're trying to provide? If there's not a demand for that, figure out what a different business plan, right? That's number one, right? And then number two is failure to understand how to manage small business books and finances. And so this was something that took us a good while to really understand and to kind of, get a process going for it. And a couple of things that we've learned from managing our books and finances is that you gotta find a good bookkeeper, a CPA and a good bookkeeper that you can work with. And one of the mistakes that I made early off was I tried to find the cheapest bookkeeper to do our stuff, the cheapest CPA, and every year they would say, hey, you know what, like you can write all this stuff off and you won't have to pay any taxes, and you can do this and you can do that, which I listened to a lot of that stuff, but it actually cost me more money in the long run. And so one thing that I learned from that is like, don't take business advice from a CPA or bookkeeper because they're not masters in building businesses. They're a business themselves, so they're trying to figure it out themselves. So if they're telling you how to grow your business and all this stuff, it might throw you off track because it's not going with what your vision is. And so you want to say, hey, this is my vision. Who is the best person to help me execute this vision? Who has done this before? Number three is going to be lack of operating capital, right? So a lot of times what happens is they don't realize the amount of capital that they might need to do some of these insurance claims. One thing that I always suggest to guys that are transitioning to being shop owners that are technicians is that's the first thing. They're like, man, how do I get money for parts, or there's a couple of things you can do, right? One of the things you can do is you can get a line of credit at your paint store for material, right? But you got to be careful because if you're not tracking your material costs, that bill can get very expensive. One thing that I would suggest if you're gonna be doing insurance claims is maybe start with doing insurance claims that pay you up front, right? So Progressive, Geico, some of those insurance companies, they'll pay you right there, like quick, right? Try to work with those insurance companies that they're gonna pay you faster than maybe some smaller insurance companies are. There's even some situations where like you might have to do the repair first before you can cash that check. And so you might want to be careful for that if you don't have the capital to get that job done. If it's a big job, you might want to be careful because you might lose your ass on that job if you don't manage that money right, if you don't manage that job right. Because that's the thing, whenever there's a lien on a vehicle, a lot of times they won't let you cash that check until that vehicle is completed, right? So you got to be careful with that. One thing that you can do is we talk about this in our group. There's ways to go around that where you can get the check endorsed and you can try to move forward, but you will have to reach out to the finance company and let them know what the plan is. Maybe that you're going to buy parts. They might be able to make you a cashier's check for half. There's ways to go around it if your paperwork is right. That's why I tell people it's always important to have your paperwork and documentation in order, right? Number four is going to be poor management skills. So I was bad at management at first because I was a technician. I was good at doing the work. I was good at getting the jobs done, but I was bad at managing people. I was bad at managing my time until I understood the importance of learning those skills. And so time management skills, that's gonna be one. One thing that I always tell people is like, if you have a small shop and you're trying to find helpers, right? You're trying to find people to help you. It's gonna be better off to hire people that can help you do like the low level activities first than to have them start repairing cars. For an example, right? Let's just say, for example, if you're opening your shop and you have to take your kids to school, you have to pick them up at 3 o'clock, you got to take them to the daycare, you got to take them to your mom's house. All that takes time. Maybe go pick up parts, maybe go pick up material, maybe go to the junkyard, whatever little errands that you have to do, you can have your helper do those things for you. You can have an assistant do those low-level activities for you. You can pay them hourly, and that way it keeps you in the shop and it keeps you getting that work done, okay? That's one way to start that. Also, I would highly suggest looking into getting maybe like a business coach. A business coach, man, like one of the craziest things that ever happened to me was someone said, hey, you should really get a business coach. And I was like, I don't I don't understand for what. I didn't understand the purpose of it. But what they did was, it was just like having a personal trainer if you're going to the gym. If you're going to the gym, you're not seeing any results, it's probably because you're not doing something right. Whenever you get a personal trainer at the gym, you're gonna start seeing results because they're gonna tell you like what to do, what to stop doing, what to eat, what not to eat, when to go, when not to go, how to manage your time. Like they're gonna give you all the tips and all the strategies to make sure you accomplish your goal, okay? Number 6 is, number 5 was lack of a clear business plan. That includes like a business growth. Like you don't have a clear business plan, or you're not planning to grow. So you're just like, you know what? I just need to open my doors, and once I open my doors, I'll figure it out from there. A lot of times you might get complacent, or you might get comfortable real fast if you don't have a business plan, or you don't have not so much an actual business crazy detailed plan, but just some kind of target. Say, you know what? I'm gonna open my shop, and then maybe in 2 years, I want to make sure I have a painter and a body man. I want to make sure I have an office manager. I want to make sure I have someone doing data entry. I want to make sure I have a clerical. I want an office manager. So those kind of targets, right? I want to make sure in the first year that we set up our website, we have everything set up, social media, that we build our brand, like some kind of targets, and you want to keep pushing those to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And so a lot of times what happens when businesses fail is they don't have a plan, they don't have a target, they don't have nothing. They're just showing up to work, and they don't know how they're getting the work. They're probably getting burnt out. They're not managing their money right. They're not managing the business right. And so eventually that business will fail because they don't have time to work on the business, okay? Number 6 is not recognizing a dying market. So a dying market is gonna be, if something is not working anymore in your area, or it's like no one's really doing that stuff anymore, For example, we did custom work for a long time. And my shop was a custom shop when we started. And one thing that kind of shifted the market was YouTube. YouTube was a big deal for the shift in other people learning how to paint, and people learning how to do their own thing. And so a lot of people started to do their own thing. And plus, there started to be a lot more competition in the bigger cities. And so in my area, that was a dying market. That was a dying market for us to expand. And so we had to pivot our business, and we brand ourselves to go after a different market. And if we would have not identified that, we probably would have been in a bad spot right now. Failure to negotiate. And failure to negotiate is gonna be like, if it's your first time renting a building, are you gonna negotiate that lease? Are you negotiating the rent? Are you negotiating parts discounts, materials? Are you negotiating with the insurance people? Are you really trying to get the best deal to make a higher profit margin on your business? So you have to always be negotiating, whether it be with the light company, whether it be with the vendors, whatever. Try to negotiate and get the best deal, okay? Number 8 is gonna be not raising the bar. So not raising the bar of your business is taking it to the higher level, making sure your shop's organized, making sure that you have your outside is organized, making sure that your brand is good, making sure that your presence is good, making sure that you have a process in place. You're just not really raising the bar. You're not really trying to take it to the next level. And because of that, you get static, you get complacent, and you become obsolete because you're not trying to compete. You're not trying to be one of the best in your area. So not raising the bar. Number 9 is gonna be stubborn owners. So this goes back to owners that can't figure out why they're not getting work. They can't figure out why they can't hire people. They can't figure out, why, they don't have a social media presence. It's because they're stubborn owners. Like they're still stuck in doing things the old-fashioned way. They don't want to they don't want to change. They don't want to reinvest into the business. They don't want to reinvent themselves. And so they're stubborn owners. And you got to be careful for this. And a lot of times stubborn owners comes back to ego and pride. And so because they feel like they're doing it the right way. I was just talking to an adjuster a while back, and he says, I've been doing this for 15 years. And I said, how do you know you've been doing it right? And he's like, what do you mean? I was like, well, just because you've been doing something for 15 years doesn't mean you've been doing it right. I said, how often do you train and get better? Because you could have learned something 1 year and then repeating that for 15 years. So it's always better to look at yourself and even ask other people, hey, where can I get better at? Where can I improve at? Where do you see I need help? What are my weak areas? What are my strong areas? And you gotta always be growing, okay? Number 10 is growing too fast. So I see this a lot too, where shops they start getting busy, they start getting attention, maybe from social media, and they start just taking on a bunch of work. And they're taking on like restoration work, they're taking on insurance claims, they're taking on self-pay, they're taking on fleet accounts, they're taking on they're just trying to do everything. And they feel like, man, we're so busy, like we're getting all this work. But what happens is they end up bottlenecking their shop. So they have all this work and they're trying to push it through a certain amount of people with a certain amount of equipment, with a certain amount of skill, and it's not working. So they're bottlenecking the business. That was one of the other things too. So those are some of the top 10 things and why businesses fail, you know? And like I said, if you're in the process of getting your business started, maybe you're a technician for many years and you're like, man, I'm ready to take that next step. I mean, the best advice I can give you is start to connect with people that are already doing it, and just ask them, says, hey man, what would you suggest how would you suggest I move? And maybe don't move so fast. One of the things that I did when I was younger was I would move real fast. And it's good and it's also bad. You want to be able to move fast, but you don't want to be able to move too fast, okay? And so you want to be able to move with the information in place, you know? And you want to make sure that move that you're going to make is a strategic move. That by making this move, it's going to put you a couple steps ahead, okay? So that's one thing that I would suggest. Another thing I would suggest too is like, man, I highly recommend and I highly suggest getting some kind of coaching or someone to help you just even get started. I've been doing this for maybe like 20 years or something like that, right? And when I first started, I was like, man, I'm gonna do everything myself. I'm gonna pay everything cash. I don't need no one's help. And for a long time, I was just running in circles. I was running in circles until I really got burnt out, and I decided, man, I need to figure out something. And that's really when I started to invest in myself, get educated myself on what I got to do to grow this business. What is the purpose of the business? Where is the business going? Why am I doing all this? So I had to answer all those questions, but it gave me some clarity moving forward. And I'm glad I took I'm glad I took those steps into investing in myself. So hey guys, if this video was helpful, I got another one right here that you might like to get your business started.